Welcome to DeFi Expectations. Today we've got Juicy J on from the Sumatra Fitness Squad. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, I'm all good. How y'all doing today?
Pretty good.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on with us. I'm sure that things are pretty crazy over on your end right now.
It's been hectic, but yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's cool to connect with you guys and just talk to more people in the space. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, how long have you guys been doing this project for now?
Well, we've been working on it. We probably started working on it in like May.
Oh wow.
We didn't really, we were kind of had the idea. We started working on the art. I don't think we really even started marketing it until maybe 6 weeks ago.
So you think you've been like actually working on it live for like 6 weeks now?
Yeah, I think so. We had a Twitter up, I want to say in August, and then we dropped within maybe 4 weeks. So probably around there. But, obviously working on the roadmap, working on the art, all that kind of stuff was a pretty significant amount of time before then.
Can you share a bit with us about yourself and how you became interested in NFTs?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, I've been kind of interested in the crypto space. I wish I could say I've been a hardcore DeFi guy for a while, but to be honest, my siblings, I've got, brothers and a sister, and they've been really into it. So I got into it probably last year, got into NFTs, especially when Top Shot came around, late last year, early this year is when I really, really got into it. We ended up kind of looking at ways that we could use an NFT to provide value for people. Just like a lot of these projects that are coming out, trying to provide utility that's really going to provide some, have a decent value proposition. For me, I'm into fitness. I'm an Ironman triathlete. So I figured if it could be fitness oriented, that would be great. And if it had a social or philanthropic aspect to it, I think that always adds some to it. So that's how we kind of came up with the Sumatra Fitness Squad.
Yeah, I see you guys are doing like a $20,000 donation to help save orangutan habitats.
Yeah, it's actually to Orangutan Outreach. Their Twitter handle is Red Apes, and they're pretty involved in the NFT community. I think their profile picture is actually a Bored Ape. But yeah, we're doing that at 75% sellout. We're I think just over 60 right now. So we're getting there. We're pumped too. We've adopted. I don't know if you guys have kept up with our Twitter too. Oh, you've got it on the screen there. We've adopted a few orangutans through Orangutan Outreach, just kind of through the process as we're going, just to show our support for them. But we're excited. The $20,000 check is obviously the big goal.
Wow, I had no idea. When did you guys hop up to 18,000? I feel like last time I checked, it was still in the...
What's funny is it's really crazy. We did a couple of giveaways with, I believe they were, the people hosting them were Indonesian, and they had a lot of followers. So we've gotten a bunch of good feedback from people over there who have heard that we're supporting the orangutans and things like that. A lot of them I don't think are actually in the NFT space. So it's kind of a weird overlap, but it is really cool. People will pop in the Discord or they'll come into my Twitter spaces and things like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, when did you guys do that giveaway? Because I swear like it was single digits last time I looked.
Yeah. We were at probably, I think like 7 or maybe 8,000. And then we probably held like 8 or 10 giveaways when we started. I want to say it was probably around 10 days ago that we probably had a decent amount of giveaways. I think it was the fact that we just piled them all right on top of each other.
So how many, I was going to say, like, how many of the characters have you saved at this point for giveaways? Like, do you mint those beforehand and then just hold on to them and not release them on OpenSea?
Yeah. We admin mint them. We tried, honestly, I try if I can to do them as I go. That way I don't know the rarity of it. That way I can say, hey, you want a Tang and this is the, I follow the same token ID. That way, if you get you get whichever one's next, and it's not like, oh, I'm handpicking the rares to keep in my pocket or something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sometimes it gets hectic and I can't, but I try to make it as equitable as possible.
So it seems like there's a lot of different features you design on each of these apes. Are they all different rarities, or it sounds like they're just?
Yeah, we have, I want to say 230 different traits. So they're very, very unique. I mean, you could have, it's pretty common for them to have like, I think the highest we would get is something that maybe it's got like 10% of the collection has it, but most are much less than that. We just wanted them to, there were a lot of variants that we liked. There were a lot that we felt represented the brand. There were a lot that we just thought were fun. So we didn't want to narrow it down too much, even though we're a smaller collection, even though we're only, 3,333.
What made you arrive on that number?
We originally were going to do 10,000. It's funny. I consulted with some people on Twitter who I trust, and some of them told me go with a smaller collection, especially those like, I've been in the Gutter Cat gang for a while. They're a small collection, and that's made that community stronger. I talked to some with, larger numbers, and just kind of came up with, we originally were going to do 10,000. We dropped it because it felt like we wanted a tight knit community, especially as we're already planning, companion airdrops and things like that. So we don't want to like over inundate the community in a way where it might bring down the floor price if you're adding a new companion or something, and really build like a tight knit community where everyone's say is going to be a little bit more important with how the community moves forward.
Yeah, and actually, that kind of brought up something else. So, like, I guess, like, why'd you choose the 80s vibe? Because I am a huge fan of like the 80s and early 90s style. I've gotten into synthwave music over the last like year and a half.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
In fact, it was funny. I was actually at the grocery store earlier this morning, and one of the synthwave artists that I really liked, he hit me up. He's like, "I'm sorry, it took me a year to get back to you." But I'm just like, "Oh, cool. Shit." I'm like, "Oh shit." Well, cool. I'm glad that you finally did.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, we just, honestly, it was just kind of like we always thought it was cool. We always there's kind of a mix, there's like the 80s kind of leotard workout stuff. And then there's like some like Run DMC, LL Cool J type stuff. And I thought it would be kind of funny. The orangutans are kind of like the more gentler looking apes. They don't exactly have the reputation that you might get from like a silverback gorilla or a chimpanzee. So I thought the storyline was funny, and the timeline, the music, the clothing, it all just, I felt made up for a better story and looked cooler.
Yeah.
And I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 89.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm 85. So
that's awesome.
My like youngest memory is one of my youngest memories. I'll say, I'm not going to say my first.
Yeah.
My second was me dancing to Milli Vanilli at the Marriott.
Yeah. That's funny. Like my older siblings, like I have a couple older brothers, and it was just like, I would wear like man, it was crazy. Like I have pictures of me when I was a kid wearing like parachute pants. And I'm like, what? Like, cause I grew up in the 90s, obviously, but it is kind of funny. Nostalgic, I could say.
Yeah, I have a similar love for it. I'm 89.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, speaking of like the orangutans, what made you guys go with monkeys or apes in general? Because there's a lot of those out there. So what made you guys go with that? And then like, what made you, what do you feel is unique about what you're doing? Because one of the things that I loved about it was like, your characters have almost like a 3D look to them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So like a lot of them are just like side profile characters. And I really like the way that these almost look like 3-dimensional. So are they designed 3D or are they just 2D, but like from a side view almost?
Yeah, it's kind of like, so it's a 2D. I would say it's just like a more detailed 2D. We had, so like one of our, I would call him a consultant. He's not necessarily a team member, was originally doing the art. It wasn't really, it was kind of, I wouldn't say it would be great art. So the guy we're using now is a professional animator. And we, obviously we thought it was a better fit. Looks awesome. We went with the orangutans. Really, it's funny you say that. In hindsight, it's like, when we were thinking about this in May, it was like the space moves so quick. By the time we were done with the art, getting ready to launch, we had all these different animal projects coming out. I wonder if I could go back in time, if we would like decide on another spin to it instead of, because that is one thing I get that question a lot, is like, what makes you not just another animal project? And, we point to the roadmap, and, we obviously have a community fund and a grant fund. But I like the orangutans. The reason that we really did the orangutans at first was because the orangutans, they've got like I think I said it before, they just have a totally different reputation than most other great apes. Most people think of the orangutans as like gentle, soft, they're not like chimps, absolutely just like strong, massive, like a silverback gorilla. So I thought it would be kind of, what's the word, ironic maybe, to use them in like a fitness position. But yeah, I think that what makes us different probably would be the art, the storyline, but I think more importantly is the roadmap. I think we are the first fitness-oriented NFT, but also we have our community fund and our grant fund. So most of this money is going to be reinvested into the project, into growing the community, into giving back to causes that the community wants to support. And that's what we're most pumped about.
Speaking about the fitness aspect, I just recently found out about the Strava Club. Is that how you pronounce it? Strava or Strava?
Yeah.
So like, can you tell us a little more about this? Cause I was like, this is a really unique take on project, something I've never seen. So yeah, with you saying that first, I've never personally seen it. So yeah, I'd love to know more about that, cause I haven't even had time to really look into it yet.
Right. Well, Strava it's really popular in the fitness community. If you ask somebody who's like, if they're a runner or a cyclist or something, or if they would know what Strava is. It's not as popular, obviously, for the population, for the the general population, but it's picking up a lot of steam. It's an exercise tracking app, so it could link up to your Peloton, to your Apple Watch, to whatever you use to track a workout. And it's almost like a social media thing. You have an account. If you have an Apple Watch and you track a walk around the block, then it uploads on Strava, and people who are following you in that club can, like it or comment it, or, you can kind of track how everybody's going. And it's kind of cool because we could say, for example, what we're doing now is for every marathon, which would be, 26.2 miles, around 40K, that the members complete in Strava, we do a giveaway. So, nice. We've got like, I think 60 members in there, all it takes is for a few people to walk around the block a couple days, and then, we have a giveaway. But it also kind of, I think there's a lot of, at least for me, it's very easy to kind of get inundated in the NFT space, or just like with work in general, and you kind of forget to, I don't know, like be active, go outside, do things that, it is very difficult. I mean, I spent a lot of time sitting at a desk in an office. This was kind of a way to hopefully integrate the two. You can be on Twitter talking to your, checking out the NFT space, and also be connecting with people who are going to be like your cheerleaders for whatever your fitness goals are, whether you want to run a marathon or you just want to, work your way up to running a mile eventually.
Yeah, this is a really, really cool feature.
I appreciate it.
It's motivating me to just like get the hell up on my ass, and like, I'm like, I need to download this and get out.
Yeah, hop in there, because the Strava group is open to anybody in the NFT community. You don't have to be a member of the Sumatra Fitness Squad. Cool. It's open to anybody who wants to be in there. It really is something that I think it will bring a lot of people to our brand, but I think more importantly, it's just a way for people to kind of get together in the space. And, obviously giveaways and rewards and things like that will only be for people in the community. But it gives everybody else a way to say, oh yeah, hey, what's going on? I saw you on Strava. Great job.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Like it. That's really cool.
I was just gonna say, I'm active on Peloton, and it has its own little tracking feature, and I gotta admit that's one of my favorite things about it. I've thought about getting an Apple Watch, and now I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for a Strava app as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can upload your Peloton activities right to Strava.
Definitely do that. I'll have to set that up.
Yeah. If you check out our Discord, we just made today a Peloton crew channel.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have a few Pelotoners. So
where did you say that's on your website?
It's in the Discord.
Oh, the Discord. Okay, maybe I can pull that up in a minute.
So I was gonna say back to like the pricing. So I noticed that you guys a little while ago were considering dropping the mint price. Is that just? I mean, I see that you've done that officially now. I just saw that maybe an hour ago. So is that basically just because of the price of ETH kind of shooting up over the last like week or two?
Yeah, it's really crazy because we kind of encountered it when we first started minting. We had like a big jump. ETH started to climb. Gas got crazy. I mean, we minted like, I think it was like 600 or 800 within like a couple hours, and then all of a sudden gas was at like 400, and then we stopped. And then
I minted like 3 of them, and that's one of the things that usually prevents me from wanting to get in on an NFT project is fucking gas prices. Like I was just looking at trying to get in on something, and just to place a bid, it was like $100.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't want to place a bid for $100. I'd rather go to a real auction and place a bid for free.
Seriously, it is. It's crazy. I mean, that was a big reason why. There were a lot of people in our community who had, I mean, literally probably a dozen had DM'd me saying, hey, listen, I think this is a good move. We don't want to sit idle for so long that people were like, hey, what's going on? Are they out of the project? What's going on here? And, first and foremost is like, we want to make sure that people that invested in the project are going to be protected. Once we see people start to like, we want to make sure that whatever happens, we're going to be able to move forward and provide value for the people that are in it. And for lowering the price, it was like, there was probably 4 or 5 days consecutively where like the average gas price during peak hours was, I mean, it would have cost you 4 or 5 times the mint price just to get one. And so it was just like, hey, if we want to incentivize people to buy into it, we have to be able to compensate them on that front. It's interesting because if you want to get something, if you want to buy CryptoPunk, $100 isn't that big of a deal. The gas isn't an issue. But if you're trying to build a community that's a grassroots organic community, you're not paying influencers a percentage of sales to go shill it, then you've really got to, you constantly have to be evolving and adapting and strategizing to make sure you're in the best position.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, like with anything based on Ethereum right now. Like when people come to me and they're like, oh, how much should I put in? I'm like, if you're trying to get into Ethereum, I'm like, just buy some Ethereum.
Yeah.
You don't want to play around in the DeFi space with like, even $1,000 is fucking garbage at this point.
Right.
There's no reason to put investments in because like it's going to cost you $100 plus to put something in where you're going to be getting, even a 20 or 30% return sometimes. Is that really going to cover your $100? And then when you want to pull it out, it's $250. It's like,
right. Yeah. It is kind of crazy, especially like when you look at all of I think sometimes people don't really take gas into account as much as they should. Sometimes people I think just click buy or sell. And I mean, it is really crazy because $1,000, if I had like $1,000 cash sitting in front of me, I'd be like, great, $1,000. If you have $1,000 in like, your MetaMask wallet, you're like, man, I'm broke. What can I do with it?
Yeah, it's weird. Like spending like digital money for me is like, it's a lot easier. It's almost like being in a casino, where like,
right. It's like a video game.
Yeah, you never have like the money for real. So it's like
Right.
like a long time ago when the moon cat thing like resurfaced, I was like, oh shit, I'm picking one of those up, and I'm like, well, out of all, because I collect like real artwork, I'm like, this is the most expensive piece of art I've ever purchased.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But it seemed like so easy to do for some reason. Like I was like, meh, all right, it's doing it. I don't care.
Yeah. There are some mints where I'm like, man, I just spent that much money on like this mint or mint pass or whatever. And I'm like, if I had spent that money, like if I swiped my credit card even for it, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah. I mean, like I go to the grocery store and I'm like, I'm at grocery outlet still like considering whether or not something that's $1 is too expensive.
For sure.
Like,
right. Yeah. You're looking for BOGO deals and
yeah. I'm like, well, that thing that's normally $15 is $1, but I mean, is that really good enough? And then like, I'll come back and I'm like, yeah, it's $150 I just spent on like gas fees.
It's almost like a rite of passage to become comfortable with that kind of spend though, because it's like, if you go to a traditional person who's not involved in crypto, not involved with NFTs, ask them why they might pay, $300 for a JPEG of an orangutan. It doesn't make sense until you actually get into what the technology is providing, what NFTs can do to protect artists.
Right.
There's just so much about it that's even bigger than just the images. But then there's also just the value it provides to artists. But yeah.
I agree.
But there's always that moment you just get comfortable with dropping a bunch of money on an NFT that you may or may not do anything with. I feel like everybody has to make that leap at some point.
Totally. And I think it's in a very, unfortunately, there has been a lot of, rug pulls or misrepresentation. I almost minted like a lot of that queenship before, we found out what was going on with queenship. And it kind of makes you think like how much due diligence you should really be doing. There was a guy who was new to NFTs and he hopped in one of our spaces before we launched Sumatra Fitness Squad. And he was telling me like, hey, like, should I mint this or what should I do? And I was like, look, no, whether it's this project or any project, just do as much due diligence as you can to make sure, you agree with the roadmap, you like the direction it's going. Because there's so many things that you could look at and just pull the trigger on any given day.
So, well, I guess I'll go back to like kind of how many of these that you have. Like, so I picked up 3 of them when I first heard about them, and luckily gas was like relatively low at that time.
Right.
Another thing though that like gets crazy with the gas prices is you have to pay the gas price every single time you mint one. So it's like. It would be really nice if you could be like, I'm going to mint 20 of them. And it's like that one price,
Right. Totally.
But like, that's another thing that gets out of hand too, is you're like, oh, cool, I want to mint 5. And then suddenly it's like, oh, cool, I'm going to spend $800 on the actual NFTs and $1,500 on the gas.
Yep. Exactly.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor. Geode Finance is an ETH2 ecosystem, providing turnkey validator node solutions to the world of DeFi. By partnering with Geode, DeFi projects of all types can smoothly integrate ETH2 staking into their platform. Geode offers a means for protocols to increase profitability and enables individuals to stake their Ethereum in a more secure and decentralized manner. Stakers need only select their chosen representative, then can begin staking immediately on the Geode platform. Geode launches soon, so follow us on Twitter at geode_finance and visit our website at geode.fi. That's geode.fi. Links to these items, including our blog and Discord, are included in the YouTube description for this episode. Thank you all for listening. And if you're interested in ETH2 staking, please check out our sponsor. Now, back to the show.
So going back to that, having like the number that you have, I noticed that you have like secret green ones as well. Are those being taken into account with the 3,333 number, or do those add to it?
No, those are on a different collection. So that's on the Polygon blockchain. We have a separate collection. We called it Squad Art. So those green ones, there's no variation. They're all the same. It was a drop. I think we did that for the first 1,200 or 1,000 token IDs. You know, so if you were the first if you owned one of the first 1,000, you got airdropped this fun art piece. It's just kind of a thing. That collection, you know, ideally in the future, we're going to be, you know, collabing with other artists in the space and making some cool pieces that way that we can just drop to the community and just kind of provide some value for them.
So how many of those you dropped? Like 1,000 of them?
We dropped, it was for the first, if you owned, it was one per owner. So like if you owned 10 tangs, you would get one art piece. So I think it was like 400 or 300 maybe.
And like, what made you kind of decide to do that? Just like, you know, a little fun thing to do, just encourage extra people to hop on. Yeah,
it was just kind of fun. We've been working with the artists on like companion airdrop stuff. So kind of in the we were kind of like, hey, let's put something fun together beforehand. Obviously the companion airdrop takes some time to get all of the art situated and things like that, even though we've been working on it for a little while. So we're like, let's make something fun, drop it to people who are early adopters, just show them that we appreciate them.
And that kind of brings back something I feel like we should have addressed a while ago. What is your role exactly in the project?
Mostly in the community. You know, I handle the Twitter most of the time. The other partners are more the back house devs, things like that.
So you're more involved in the community building and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I work with the artist to kind of make sure everything, you know, make sure the variants are how we want them. Obviously, make sure that everything works out when it's randomly assigned. But I don't design them myself.
Gotcha.
How many people are actually part of the team? I guess like part of the core team, because I'm sure you probably have like mods and stuff like that in the Discord.
Yeah, there's 4 of us, and then we've got a pretty good amount of mods.
And so who like conceived of the art specifically? Was that like a collaborative process to really get like, because like I said, one of the things I really like about it is that really like 3D look, because I haven't really seen too many projects. It's either a 2D or it's an actual, you know, 3D type thing made in Blender or something like that.
Yeah, no, it was actually me and another one of the co-founders. One of our co-founders is we kind of came up with the original art, and we were like, all right, this isn't necessarily the direction we want to go, not necessarily the style we wanted. So the artist that we're using now was somebody who we had a relationship with before, and we were like, hey, this is what we've got, you know, this is what we've been working on. What do you think? And he was like, oh yeah, let's do it. So we just kind of molded over with him for a little while, and it came to fruition.
And like, how did all of you actually link up together? Do you know each other in, you know, the real world?
Yeah, we've known each other for a while. We all were into NFTs. I mean, I would say I probably got into it a little bit later. Most of everybody else on the team was into crypto, you know, 5-6 years ago, you know, going through the last up and down. And then we're probably earlier adopters of the NFT space. But we all got into like Top Shot and obviously started getting into it heavily this year. But we've known each other in real life for a while.
So one of the other things I was like wondering, do you have any other experience in NFT projects, or is this your first one that you've like really been deeply involved in?
This is, well, I mean, this is the only one that I'm involved in the actual, I mean, obviously I own other pieces to other, like I'm in other communities, but this is the only one that I've founded or played like an actual role in the actual team.
Did you have like, you know, was there a large learning curve to this? Because I know a lot of artists that, you know, don't even know about the NFT space yet. And I'm always trying to like push them over into it, because some of them just, you know, they're like hardcore struggling. And I'm like, you don't understand. You could make like the amount of money you make every year. You could make that every second.
Totally.
Like,
Totally. It is crazy. Like, especially with, I mean, and there was a huge learning curve. I mean, because kind of like I said before, it's like, it just, the space evolves so much. I mean, you know, when we originally were thinking about it, we were like, great, this would be fun. Like, you know, we've like, you know, I had been in a lot of different communities and I had connections with a lot of groups and people in the space. And then like, the learning curve obviously is just huge, because how you get, you know, how you promote a project, what value it provides, you know, it's so much more important now than it even was a couple months ago to really have a value proposition. I mean, even still today, you see people whose roadmap is essentially like, you know, we're going to do a giveaway after we sell out, and, you know, we're going to wing it from there. And, you know, or they, you know, you kind of get caught up in Twitter in the NFT space where you're just inundated by these quote unquote influencers or promoters. And is it good information? Is it, you know, is it realistic, or are they being paid off? Or, you know, it's just a crazy whirlwind, and like trying to be able to give good organic information to people to tell them who you are and to stand out from everything else that's going on in like the whirlwind right now. It's a crazy learning curve, but it is a ton of fun, especially with the community that we have. It's just an awesome core group of people. And it's been a killer time.
That's one of the things I've noticed. Like, I've been kind of getting pretty deep in the NFT community over the past like month, I would say. And I've noticed that I'm enjoying it a lot more than just like being part of the coins and tokens type project. Because a lot of that stuff is really complex. I'm a big fan of art, and it's pretty easy to understand that, you know, you either like or don't like what something looks like, and you like the people involved in it, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
So that's why I've really been like digging it and really searching out, you know, other projects recently. I mean, I think the first like NFT based project that we talked with was Star Atlas. We've interviewed like someone from the Damn Tasty Corn Chips, which was the first project that we heard about that was over on Wax. That was like a randomized card game, which was pretty cool. And
that is cool.
Like, I mean, like we've hit up some pretty interesting people. Like we talked with artist the Bob recently about a little collection that he's doing where he builds it like every single day. So he just gets up and like makes his little characters and then puts them up, and he's got probably 150 people a day now that are just sitting there waiting for his drop, like trying to get it.
That's awesome. See, that's really cool. You love to hear like cool stories like that.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Like I'm just digging it. It's a lot of fun compared to like just the money based type part of crypto.
Totally. Yeah.
So a couple last little things I wanted to touch on, I guess related back to what I was just saying. Do you have any recommendations for like new artists who want to get involved in the NFT space, and especially like in generative projects like the Sumatra Fitness Squad or CryptoPunks or, you know, Bored Apes?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a whole different level of trying to like hunt down, you know, devs and programmers and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing is too, I mean, fortunately we have people that we know and trust. I mean, I couldn't imagine what it would be like to, you know, go out looking for some, you know, it would have to be somebody that you have a relationship with, you know, if they're going to be managing your contract. But if, you know, my number one, I guess something that the main advice I would say is just get in the space and talk to people and build real relationships with them. And, you know, you can grow that way. I think that's the best way to go about it, is really just trying to make real connections, show people who you are, put your stuff out there, and just let the space kind of take it. Especially for like a lot of these, like one-on-one artists, sometimes you see them and they're, just kind of going by it, and next thing you know, a couple people like it and they start selling it, and like you said, they can make a really good amount of money. I think it's more just about like being in the space and always being in front of people. making sure that you're top of mind.
Yeah, I mean, like when we were talking with Bob, he was saying, because the way that I found out about his project was like, all the people who have just stupid amounts of ETH just laying around, they're always like, like, follow, post your art. I've got 20 ETH to blow today.
Totally.
And I was just kind of going through because it's fun to kind of look and see what people post in there. And yeah, I just saw him like in there posting about something, and then I hopped over to his Discord and I was like, oh shit, this is pretty neat. And I feel like it's an interesting thing because, Twitter is probably a good way to actually get the word out. Discord is a great way to build a real community.
Definitely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially with there's certain, it's kind of like we were talking about before, like there's so much in Twitter, this like whirlwind of like, it's like an overload of like, here's my project, here's what I'm shilling, here's all this stuff. And, you don't really know necessarily where you're at, but when you're in Discord, it's so much easier to kind of get into the nitty gritty of it and have real discussions, and when you're on Twitter, it's cool because you can form those relationships, but you're also going to have your feed that's just like in this whirlwind. I think if it was like an up and coming artist, or if it was somebody wanting to build a project themselves, one thing, just to be completely transparent, man, I wish that we would have given it more time to get our project out there, to let people know who we were, what we stood for, because I think that we went from, hey, here's our Twitter to we're minting much quicker than a lot of projects should. Fortunately, we have a good community, and we have a good project, and I think we have one of the best roadmaps in the space, to be honest with you. I don't think that anybody else is providing the value that we're going to be providing. But at the end of the day, it comes down to exposure, and it comes down to like, how many people know you're going to be out there and what your roadmap is.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, do you want to kind of go over like the roadmap and kind of talk about where you are and, where you're heading at this point?
Yeah. We have kind of two roadmaps, and we call them the tree maps because, they're orangutans in the Sumatran jungle. But one is obviously during the sale, and then one will be post-sale, what we're going to do for the community moving forward. So we're about 60, I think somewhere between 60 and 70% sold out at the moment. So we have set up our community fund, and we've set up our grant fund. So both of those got set up with 2.5 Ethereum each, and they're going to get 2.5% of secondary sales each. The community fund is going to be used to build the community. Most importantly, the community fund will be used to support members who are giving back through like promotion or outreach or, creative. Just like kind of how we said before, if there was an artist in our community who could make a couple bucks doing creative for us, great. We'd rather employ them than somebody else who might not be as into the knowledgeable of where the community is at. The second is the grant fund. So it's going to be a community driven fund that's going to support different donations and fundraisers. So it could be orangutan outreach. It could be, somebody that needs help, that it might be time specific. Let's say there's a natural disaster somewhere and we want to throw a couple $1,000s to help these people out. Mm-hmm. We can go that route. And then it's 75% sold, which obviously we're closing in on that, is when we donate $20,000 to Orangutan Outreach.
Yeah, how does something like that work? Because like at some point, I assume that they don't accept cryptocurrency, or do they?
Yeah, Orangutan Outreach does.
Okay, that's cool. Because I was gonna say like that's got to be kind of a pain in the ass if you're the one who has to pull it out and then like take the tax burden.
Yeah, and like I'm sure all of our accountants are gonna want to kill us after 2021, but yeah, it's gonna be. Fortunately, they are in. They have a presence in the NFT space, so I don't think it's lost on them that that's something they want to do. I think they have like a giving block API on their website. So they take Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Nice.
Yeah. And then at 100% sellout, we pick a member of the squad to get 2 plane tickets to Sumatra with 5 days paid lodging.
And
It was
how
just
does that
something that we
get
thought
chosen?
was awesome.
Are you choosing that like kind of based on community participation, or are you choosing that just like
Nope.
random number generator?
It's going to be totally random. Every token ID. So the more you own, the better chance you have. But every token ID will be put into a randomizer. We're going to randomize it like 5 times, and whoever gets it goes. I mean, we really wanted to do it to kind of part of what I felt was we're using the likeness of the orangutan. Let's give back to orangutan outreach. Let's support the orangutan habitat. Let's support the Sumatran travel and hospitality industry, their tourism industry, especially after I'm sure what was a tumultuous 2020 with COVID. Really try to give back to them. I don't want to like use the name and likeness of these people and not have it benefit them in any way.
Yeah.
So, and obviously it's a win-win. Hopefully somebody in their partner or friend can go have an awesome time.
That's awesome. What are plans? Like, I think you said like after the fact that you are going to be doing like other drops and stuff. Do you want to like release any kind of information about like future plans?
Yeah. We've got a companion airdrop that's in the works. We've kind of been going back and forth on the art and things like that. We're planning on doing a metaverse type of thing, obviously, like most projects are. We'll kind of see how the community feels, what direction they want to go. We also want to obviously build out the fitness side of it pretty well, build out like, the club, the Strava Club. Ideally, as we build the community, we can get people like, a dietitian or a fitness trainer to pop in, give advice, maybe have plans written for people that might want them, whether they want to train for a 5K or they want to do something bigger. Just providing support for people who want to stay healthy, fit, have a sense of well-being there. Build a Strava Club, keep the fitness aspect of it. And yeah, just keep building the community that way. We have the community fund and the grant fund that we're really pumped about. And we think it'll be awesome.
Well, yeah, that's about all I've got. Fry, do you have any other questions?
No, that was pretty much it for me. Just anything else you want to share about the project or anything else before we wrap?
I don't think so. We're minting now. It's 0.02 Ethereum. So check us out. And of course, if you all or if anybody else listening has a question, feel free to shoot me a DM on Twitter or something. I'd love to connect with you, answer some questions, maybe do a collab. I've had a couple projects reach out to me lately wanting to do collabs. I'm always down for like a win-win in the space. I think that's always awesome. So
sounds great.
And yeah, you guys have a Twitter, you guys have a Discord, any other places everyone can find you guys?
Those are probably the best. I would say check us out on Twitter, but most importantly, join the Discord and chop it up with everybody. We really have like an awesome community. The people in there are just some of the best people really in the space.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I hope you have a great weekend.
Hey, likewise. Thanks for having me. Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Later.